Within the earth, from waters blue, fairies are whispering to me and to you.
Hello there, hello there, hello there, hello there, hello there.
I'm Claire Casely, the fairy whisperer. In the air of sylvan nights, we'll find our way by fairy light. Fairies whisper throughout the land. It's time to walk hand in hand. To catch a fairy whisper, you have to listen closely. Listen with me. Hi, welcome to the Fairy Whispering Podcast, and I'm your host, Claire Casely. And with me this evening is Anastasia, and she has a wonderful podcast called Goblin Kwain. And we've collaborated a little bit so far, and we're going to do a little bit more collaboration together. But welcome, Anastasia. Lovely to meet you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And you've got some lovely cat companions who...
Yeah. Ingrid poking around in the background, my eyeless cat.
Yeah, oh, bless her.
Yeah.
So, Anastasia, I'd love you to say a bit about what you do, introduce yourself, for anyone that doesn't know about your work, because you're a brilliant researcher, but I'll let you say a little bit about you and then we'll go into your experiences. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have a YouTube channel. That's where I started putting everything. And then more recently, I started putting everything on podcast platforms too. So I started the YouTube channel in 2022, I think. But I started, like a lot of people, the idea was cooking up in 2020. I just didn't put it into motion for a couple years. But it came from because, well, I've always had an interest in the paranormal, and I've pretty much always had the internet too. So one of my fondest pastimes was going online and going on websites and reading people's experiences, or when people, I don't know, now there's like a dime a dozen paranormal videos, but before there was like, you had to take what you could get. It was very exciting. One website that I would go to religiously, and I still do, it's called Your Ghost Stories, and people go and they put their paranormal experiences. It's not just ghost stories. I like to find the ones that are a little weirder. And I'm reading them, and then I like reading the comments too. People get into really interesting discussions and bring up different multicultural phenomenon that relates. And I'm reading them and I'm like learning about different things like duende or different cultural things. And I'm like, oh, well, this reminds me of this in folklore. And then you also start to notice patterns. So my very first video was called On the Ceiling, and it was all stories I'd found that people had seen something on the ceiling. So I don't know, that's kind of the human brain pattern, right? You look for patterns, and it's very satisfying to categorize. So that's what I started doing, and I just felt compelled to make videos, podcasts, reading the stories and giving my thoughts and making connections in folklore. And it's really just an outlet for my interests, a creative outlet, because I consider myself a very creative person too. So I get to read about my interests and be creative. And I'm not an expert or anything, or I don't have an education or anything. It's just kind of fun, very enjoyable.
Yeah, and what you do is just brilliant. I love the way that you compile the information and present it. And you did a a section for an episode I released a couple of episodes ago about alien big cats, which is really good. It's really good to work with you.
Thank you. That was so fun.
Yeah, it was. I really enjoyed that. And yeah, so of course you've had your own experiences, and we were just talking before you came on because there's a few different ones we were going to go through, but I think it'd be good to start with the one that you had when you were around 8 or 9. Um, yeah, at the creek.
Yeah. Yeah. So I grew up in the suburbs, and I was very lucky to grow up in an area that was very safe and very contained. I lived on the street that was a big circle. It's like an oversized cul-de-sac almost. And so it was very contained. I had a little woods in the back, so that was nice to go and be in and explore. And then where my street connected with the main street, which wasn't a super busy street, but the main kind of connecting street, there was a creek. Really, it's like sewer run, not sewer, storm runoff, you know? So, but it does turn into a creek with rocks and trees. And so I didn't know it was storm water. It's just a cool place to explore. And my parents didn't care either because I'm out and about, right? So I would spend a lot of time there. I also the house I grew up in, I thought was haunted just by hearing different sounds like footsteps, and especially on the basement stairs where it was really easy to hear footsteps, and I was home alone a lot. So I was already very interested in ghosts and the paranormal. And one day I was around 9 or 10, 8 or 9 or 10, and I had two friends with me, and we were playing in my creek. And so it had to go under the road, the main road. So where it did that, it turned into a cement, it turned into a cement, kind of a U shape. It's like a square tunnel without a top on it. It was pretty tall. It was taller than our heads. And then it would go under the street in a small little tunnel, you know? And I never wanted to walk under the road. I thought it was just a little too creepy. It was a little dark. So I just stayed on my side. But I was with my friends, and they wanted to walk under the road. And I was like, okay, I've never done it before, but I guess with friends, it'll be fine. So we do that. We cross under to the other side of the street. It's not a big deal at all. It's just a 2-lane road. So we get to the other side. It's a big accomplishment. And we walk back to my side. And I'm feeling very good, very accomplished, like I just did something very brave. And above, at the top of the cement kind of tunnel, open air tunnel, there's a fence so that no one would just walk right into it. And there's also a big oak tree right there. So we're talking and celebrating our brave victory, and a tree branch falls right in front of us, right at our feet. And it's not something that it would have killed us, but it was about as thick as my arm, and it was just startling. And we're like, where did that? Well, it came from the tree, but what happened? Why did that fall? So we look up, and standing against the fence, there was a man there, and he was wearing like a blue jumpsuit that maybe a tree worker or some kind of maintenance person would wear. I remember like the stitched name patch. I don't remember a name on it. And a baseball cap. And he was older. He had white, wispy, about my length white hair coming out from under the baseball cap, and a mustache. And it would have just been a normal guy, except he was slightly transparent, slightly transparent, and his eyes were completely white, which whenever I tell that detail, just gives me chills. Yeah. So it was very strange. And he's looking down at us with his white eyes, and it just kind of seems like we're in trouble. It's kind of like a stern adult, but it was very scary. And then we just start running. The three of us just start running down the cement storm drain to where we can get around to where it turns into a muddy bank and get up and run away. And just like a horror movie, one of my friends keeps tripping and falling. And we're like, come on, come on. So we scrabble up the muddy banks. And to go back to my house, we do have to not walk right by where he was, but pass by the area. So at that point, the weird details about his appearance, the transparency in the eyes, didn't really kick in. It was more like I'm in trouble, that feeling like an adult is going to reprimand us or something. We were doing something we weren't supposed to do. And so I looked to where he was standing, and I don't see anybody there. And I also look for a truck or something, and there's no truck there. And it's something we would have been able to hear or see drive away. So anyway, we just run right back to my house, and we're very shaken up. And I asked my friends if they had the same experience, and they said, yeah. And I don't know how many years ago, but I did the thing where, because over time you have this type of experience, your brain starts going, that didn't really happen, right? I'm imagining it. So I reached out to one of the people who was there on Facebook, and I was like, just checking. We saw a ghost, right? And he's like, yeah, he confirmed it. So that felt good. But yeah, that's the only time I can say I actually saw an apparition or whatever you would call it. And that was all there was to it, but it was very spooky.
Wow. And his eyes, was it like there was light coming from his eyes?
No, it was just as if someone had their eyes rolled back in their head or something, just no pupils. Yeah. Maybe they were a really light blue, and because he was kind of transparent, I couldn't see them, but I don't know. I'll always remember the eyes because it was very strange, obviously.
It's bizarre, isn't it? I've heard of people talking about spirits having just white eyes, black eyes.
Yeah, I've heard black more often. Not so many white.
I suppose if someone, if you are looking at someone that died, I guess, that's kind of the state people would be in, wouldn't they, when they die, and their eyes rolling back.
Maybe. Yeah, I didn't really know what to make of it. I mean, just because of it sounds like a stereotypical ghost, right? He's kind of see-through, so that's probably what I thought at the time, that it was just a ghost of, I don't know, a tree worker or something. But now I don't really know how it's funny. I'm much more questioning of ghosts now than I am of like a fairy or a goblin. And I don't know. I feel like unless it's someone who you're seeing like an apparition of like your parent who has passed away, I just feel like there's so many more possible explanations. I don't know.
And it's interesting that it's by water as well, which a lot of people have experiences near water.
Definitely.
Yeah. And what do you
know? It was kind of a boundary too.
Yes. Yeah. So you're on a boundary at like a really liminal place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fascinating.
I know, and I had just done something that I was afraid of doing too, and then that happened. I was almost like, don't do that. Shouldn't do that. I don't know.
Yeah. So it's almost like, do you think it's your intuition telling you?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I almost thought of it as like a, yeah, like a punishment. Like I was in trouble that for doing it in the first place. But I didn't go through there again, I don't think, but I spent plenty of time in the creek. It didn't scare me away from going there. And the tree
And
is still there, the old oak tree.
wow. And of course,
Yeah,
oak trees
I know.
are connected with fairies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And spirits, but in
Hmm.
folklore, fairies, yeah, are supposed to live
Yeah.
in the roots of the tree, and they're the connection with the underworld, and the roots go down into the underworld, and all of that.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never dived into my own experience and all the, symbology.
Mm. So, well, thanks for sharing that experience. That's really interesting. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
do you feel like that was a turning point for you? Um,
It
like,
was it was it
mm,
was definitely validating to see something because I had just kind of heard things in my house and never really seen anything. And you know what really bothered me is I had one friend. It wasn't one of the friends I was with at the time, but my neighbor across the street. I would tell her everything about my house being haunted, and she would tell me things about her house too. And I was so interested. I was like, whoa, she told me she would see, I think she told me she saw like lights in her weird, like orbs of light in her house or something.
oh,
And
right.
um, and then one day she maybe we were on the subject of I was talking about this kind of stuff, and she told me, she's like, I made it all up about my house. And I was crushed. I was like,
Really?
what? Yeah,
I
I
think
was like,
that's a bit of a strange thing to do, though, isn't it? I mean,
yeah,
do you
very
think,
weird.
yeah,
Maybe she was lying, or maybe I don't know if she was making it up because it was something I was interested in. But yeah, that really broke my heart because I'm like, I'm not making it up. And I thought I had someone who
yeah,
could relate. And yeah, it was very weird.
how bizarre.
But
So,
when I
yeah,
started out, I was very interested in ghosts.
yeah,
And you know how for ghost hunting and thing, I loved all the ghost hunting shows and all that.
mm,
And it was always the holy grail to like see a full bodied apparition, you know what they would
yeah,
say. So I was like, oh, I have one. And it just validates like I said, it validates your belief
yes,
because I know I believe in these things and I really think they're real, but how much can I quantify things I haven't seen? So,
yeah, yeah. And I mean, the spirit could have been connected with that area and maybe,
yeah.
the land, obviously the land that your house is built on. So, yeah, maybe there was that recognition of, oh, this person is open to seeing us or connecting with the other world. I don't know.
Yeah.
Mm,
Maybe he was
yeah,
protecting that space. I don't know.
yeah. Was he quite modern in his dress, would you say? Or
I felt somewhat modern,
yeah.
except like the name patch. I've never I don't know if I've ever really see that. That's more of something you see in a movie or something, that the
Mm,
stitched name tag on a overalls like in an auto shop or something.
yeah.
I couldn't read a name, but yeah, it was somewhat modern for sure.
Mm,
Yeah.
so fascinating.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and it's weird because my childhood, I felt like I had a lot of activity in my house, and then I felt like I think this is common for a lot of people, as I got older, it just kind of tapers off,
Yeah.
especially
Hmm.
really, really obvious experiences. And so as I get older, I have, I still have some, but not as many, and they're very sporadic. Whereas I felt like I lived in a haunted house at the time, so there was so much going on all the time. But I hear that a lot of people find that they have more experiences in childhood and then less as they get older.
Yeah, I think as a child we don't question things so much. It's just like, oh. because we don't know any different. So that's, yeah, from my own experience of being very sensitive growing up. I think that's, yeah. And then we go to school and all those other influences come in. I think then when you come out the other, speaking for myself, when you come out of the other end of school or college, that's when maybe, if you've had some early experiences, that's the time to re-explore them or reconnect with them. Is that your experience?
I feel like I started having another batch of experiences when I was leaving high school, and I didn't.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I did go. I started community college, but I didn't end up doing it. So I didn't have like a big college experience, but leaving high school, and there I had this big. There's a group of friends that I was really close with too, and we were also really brought together by a traumatic situation. My friend, his mother, she died, and it's hard to say what happened exactly. We don't know. She died unexpectedly, and he lived with her, and then he was left the house, and we were teenagers, so he was a year younger than me. If I was 17 or 18, he was a year younger behind me in school. But he just lived in that house, and we would all just spend time in this house, and where someone had recently died tragically. However, it happened. We don't know if it was by her hand or if it was an accident or something. So that's a period in my life when I started having more. And so maybe it's because there was this traumatic experience and there was death, and definitely had weird things happen in that house too, of course. The only other time, if you want me to go on to another story.
Yes, please just carry on.
Cool. The only other time I may or may not have seen something, I can't say for sure if this is even paranormal, but it was very strange. So at this time, I was working at a movie theater, and you would work pretty late hours because you have to stay behind after all the movies are out and clean. So I would be driving home after midnight. And one night, this is also the same neighborhood where I grew up, same community. So I'm driving home. It's after midnight by myself. Nice night, I think. I have the windows open, and I'm driving pretty close to home. I drive past this pretty large church, and there's a stop sign that is right in front of the church. So I have to slow to a stop in front of this church, and I hear music as I'm getting up to the church. And I look over, and on the front church steps, there is a man playing the violin, an older man with, I don't know what it's called, but like the cabbie hat is what I'll call it.
Right.
Not sure what that's called.
Yeah.
And he's playing the violin there by himself in the middle of the night. And I have to stop anyway because there's a stop sign. So I'm like slowing to a stop and like staring because it's such a strange and, I mean, honestly, pretty cool thing to see. But as I'm stopping, he stops playing, and he like slowly lowers the violin from his head and like looks at me as I'm driving by. I was like, whoa. It was a very intense moment. And then I didn't stay. I kept driving after I had to pause at the stop sign, and he just watched me as I drove away. But just the nature of that he was playing the violin, I was like, what is going on? Is that seems like a fairy experience almost to me.
Yes, because there was sorry to interrupt.
No.
You said that there was a connection with leaving an offering or something.
For that one, I actually previously had found a fairy ring outside of the church where he was standing.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, I took a picture of it too. It was before this happened, and I still have this picture of just a perfect fairy ring of mushrooms
Hmm.
because it's always exciting to find those. I don't get to see them too often. So there was that connection that also made me think of a fairy. And it was at a crossroads as well. I had to stop and turn.
Yeah, I've got chills because you're saying you were at a crossroads in your life where you just left
True.
college. So,
Yeah, high school. Yep.
yeah, from high school.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you're at literal crossroads. Yeah, he's on the
Yeah,
steps of the church as well, which is like another liminal place.
I can't
Um,
say exactly what time it was, but it was probably around midnight. It was definitely in
midnight.
those hours.
I mean, who'd be out playing a violin at that time of night?
Yeah, and he was trying to hide it. He was out in the open, but very
Mm,
strange. Turned to face the street, and
mm.
I mean, he stopped when I saw him, so wasn't I don't know. It's not like he was trying to put on some kind of performance. He almost seemed annoyed to
No.
be interrupted or something.
How,
I wish I had talked to him, be like, "What are you doing?" But it didn't seem like he wanted to talk.
no. I mean, what did he look like? What's his appearance?
It was just an older gentleman,
Mm,
wearing I want to say a coat and pants and the hat, which I associate with Irish people. I don't know why. It's
yeah,
has any connection to Irish culture.
I know. Is it like a
Like a
baker boy cap?
newsboy kind of cap or
Yes,
something. Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. How
But as far as I
interesting.
know, he was solid. So it could have
Yeah.
just been a person, but it was so weird. And I drove by the church, every night when I went home from work and I never saw him again. I always wanted to because it was so weird.
Yeah. A tangent, but I'm interested in people that look like people, but then that people
Yes. Me
interact
too.
with, and then they vanish or
Yes. I know
and
that Joe
yeah,
call or no, Timothy Renner maybe calls them unpeople. And I know that Joe
unpeople.
has had a really good guest. More than one, but one that sticks out is the people in the parking lots. This woman
Ah,
talked to a family in the parking lot and she just got the sense that they weren't human. I love those stories too. I'm actually trying to
yeah,
find some because I think it's so interesting. And Men in Black encounters are like that too, right?
yeah. And then yes, yes, I've had a Man in Black experience, I think, just because it was
Oh.
so, and this is about you.
Oh,
But
I really
it
would
was
like to
just
hear
so,
it though.
it was so random. And it was just so like, so this was on Dartmoor, um, probably about 10 years ago now. And my son and I went for a walk with a group that was doing dowsing at this really ancient stone circle, Bronze Age stone circle on Dartmoor. And it's kind of renowned for having people having strange experiences there. I think, even though the location isn't identified in the fairy census, there's somebody that had an experience there where they were misled in a field near this circle.
Mm.
So we're all dowsing, and I mean, I don't know what you know about dowsing, but you can douse for different things and you can ask any question you want to, sort of yes and no. And we were all talking about UFOs, and we were dowsing for that and sort of asking if the circle was connected to extraterrestrials or, people were really excited about it. We were just going, asking questions about all those kinds of, yeah, alien life. And anyway, I suddenly felt really wiped out. And a lot of people feel this around this stone circle that that their energy is just suddenly wiped. And so I said to the people running the group, I said, I need to go now. And me and my son left. and we were walking back to the car, and there was this man in a black suit just wandering around. And this is in the middle of nowhere.
Hmm.
He was just wandering around on the mall,
Hmm.
like this
Whoa.
wild place in a black suit.
Hmm.
And I said to my son, I said, that's strange. And I thought, that's really odd that he was just out of place. What's he doing here? And we were just talking about ETs and
Yeah, I was gonna when you said you had a Men in Black experience, I was gonna say, did it have connection with UFOs? And of course,
yeah, it
so you
did.
didn't talk to him.
No, because
You
he was
saw
off
him.
in the distance. I mean, he was close enough to see him, you know, clearly. He was only a few hundred yards away, but
Mm.
he was just sort of wandering around, and I was not feeling great.
Mm.
And I just wanted to get back to my car. So I sort of just clocked it and thought, that's really odd. What's he doing? But
That's so weird.
yeah,
Wow, cool. I know you
yeah.
guys have I'm so jealous of your landscape and all the history. I should I should look up the history of things like the building, this church building and the
Mm,
area where my house was. I don't really know how to go about doing that, but yeah.
uh, old maps. I don't know what you have in the US, but over here there's a few websites where you can look up old maps
Mhm.
and yeah, or maybe your local library or something,
Yeah.
or
But you
local.
know what is interesting though is um my whole state, but my area too. The area where this is taking place, there's caves under there's caves everywhere under the whole really the whole
Oh my
state, but
gosh.
this area too. And they're not caves that you can get into, but they're
Which
just
state are you in again?
Missouri.
Ah,
Yeah.
right.
It's called the cave state, actually.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. And so there's all these caves and sinkholes and things. And another place
Oh,
where I've had experiences, well, one of the experiences I kind of briefly mentioned to you was at a park where there's also a cave under it, and there's lots of sinkholes in the park. And it's interesting because they're just kind of big grassy like craters, but there's trees all around them and in them and brush in them, and they don't mow them or anything. So the way they look, just these little pockets of kind of rings of trees and brush, remind me of the fairy forts in Ireland, how they just leave them
oh,
be.
yeah. I'd love to
So
see a photo of that. That sounds
yeah, I'll send you
fascinating.
one.
Yeah.
What were you saying about Hellier though? I haven't finished it, but I've
Oh,
started it.
Helia. Yes. Just because that's Kentucky, isn't it? And they've got lots of
Is it?
cave systems there. And
Yeah, okay. Yeah, there is a cave as a part of it, right?
yeah, and they have they're investigating these sightings of goblins.
Mm-hmm.
That famous, I think they started with the famous case. Was it
The
1950?
Hopkinsville goblins. Yeah,
Hopkinsville.
yeah.
And then they they bring in fairy folklore and some um, magic kind of, and sort of connecting with the fairies, and we talk about pixies as well, so that's why I was interested. So
Cool. Yeah,
fascinating.
people really like it. I need to finish it.
So
Yeah.
you were talking about the park near you, Anastasia, and then you were going to continue talking a little bit more about an experience you had there. Or
Yeah. So this park is one I would go to just down the street from my house. So I've spent so much time there, and it's a really special place to me. And there is a small wooded walking area in the back, also with a creek. I love creeks. And one day I was there. I was actually there. It was Lunasaw. That's how you say that, right?
yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
and I decided I would leave some bread. I looked up what's good for what's connected with that holiday, and it said bread and blueberries, I think,
Right.
or maybe just berries. So I got those two things. I made some bread and got some berries, and I brought them to this park and went back in the woods and left them by a tree and just said, "This is for whoever, the woods or whoever wants it, needs it." I guess I had fairies in mind though, but that was all. I just left it, and then I was leaving the woods, walking, and I heard church bells go off. And there is a church that the bells ring, and you can hear it from there all the time. But it was a weird time. I looked at my phone, and it wasn't on the hour, and it wasn't on the half hour. I really wish I had written down the time. I thought I had, but I couldn't find it. It was it was just kind of a random time, and it wasn't the usual song either. Usually it's just the standard standard song that they play on the hour. I'd never heard this song played before. So
Mm.
maybe there was something going on where they had some special church bells, but I took it as acknowledgement. I've always associated bells with fairies, and I know that's in folklore as well, but
Yeah. Yeah.
even things
It, yeah. Sorry, carry on.
I
Mm.
was just going to say that
Yeah.
even things that aren't, because I've only had, we are saying as far as really seeing something, I've only had that one experience, but I still take meaning, I'm sure you do too, out of meaning out of things like that, like church bells. They're just things that maybe aren't overtly paranormal, but you just apply this inner meaning to them. Or like if you hear an owl or you see an owl, something like that, it just
Yes.
makes you think that there's something else going on.
Yeah,
So,
I really believe in those small signs that, can have such an impact if we notice them, can have such an impact on our psyche, can't they? And the way that we move forward in life and the choices we make.
mhm.
Yeah. So, and it's interesting that it was a totally different tune that,
Yeah, I'll have to check and see if I recorded it. I don't know if I would have pulled out my phone or if I just let it happen, but and it definitely, yeah, it was very meaningful to me at the time. I thought for
mm,
sure this was like a, I don't know, thank you or just acknowledgement or something.
yeah. And yeah, I really believe with fairy experiences, or, when you're communing with these spirits, that they will try and tell you, acknowledge that, reciprocate what you're giving to them.
Hmm.
Definitely. Yeah. Sounds like, was it the same church where you saw the bells? Do you think they were coming from the same church that you saw the man playing the violin, or?
No, it was different. I'm not sure exactly which church bells they are. There's a couple different ones that ring there. Um, so I always something about bells. I mean, it's
Hmm.
something that's gone back through time that people have agreed on. Just whenever I'm out for a walk in the woods, because there's just these little dotted patches of woods around here,
Yeah.
and that are near enough to bells. And so when I'm walking in the woods and I hear the bells, I just always stop and take a moment because it
Mm.
just, yeah, there's such a feeling that resonates with the sounds of the bells. There's probably a reason why churches use them too. For the same reason.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's various ideas, isn't there, that they use to scare spirits away.
Oh yeah. Right. Yeah. And some people do say you can use bells to dispel energy,
Yeah,
right?
dispel negative energies, or yeah.
Mm.
Mm. fascinating. But then there's the other idea that sound and resonance can create um, a vibration that attracts certain beings as well,
Hmm.
energies. So, mm.
There's this other trail. It's not the same one, but it's nearby, and I can walk from this one where I heard the bells to another one, and it's another little wooded trail. It was actually the one that was behind my house. So they developed the I had a little patch of woods behind my house, and then they developed it into a nursing home, but they kept a little trail through a little patch of woods, which is nice. So I still go there sometimes and walk because it's nice and nostalgic. And there's this little part, and there's actually a bridge over a little stream too. Someone put bells, like little bells you would put on the wall. They've like screwed them into various parts down the path. I don't know
Oh,
why, but I always like give them a little ring when I walk by.
fascinating. Oh, that's a
Yeah.
really nice thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not sure what the purpose is, but
No, no, but I love it when people do that. I mean, it's like the fairy houses.
hmm.
It brings a little bit of extra enchantment, doesn't it, to people? And reminds them that
Yeah.
there's more going on. Mm.
Yeah, these like the I've showed you this in the this little hagstone ornament thing I have in my
Oh,
background on my
yes.
wall.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
I would a couple of times I've made those and hung them like in trees and in parks or on walking trails or something, kind of not directly off path, but yeah, I just like that idea where it's something that catches your eye and just makes you kind of I don't know, think or
Yeah.
changes the mood a little bit. So little
Yes.
natural art installation.
Mm. Yeah. That's amazing. Do you have quite a lot of hagstones in your area then, or where do you
Yeah.
find them?
Yeah. I find them on creek beds.
Right.
Yeah.
Ah,
And I used to collect them, but I had to stop because I just had a bucket full of rocks that I'm not sure what to do with.
join
So
the
I've cut
club.
back. Yeah. Like moving recently, I'm like, oh, I should probably downsize.
I think there's quite a lot of us, Anastasia, with like ships full of like sticks and rocks.
Yeah. Good stick too. Yep.
Something primal, isn't it? But
Yeah. I like that.
so before we end, I'd love to hear about the dream that you had.
Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's I again, I've never had an overt waking life fairy experience, just kind of weird notions like experiences in the woods and then this dream. And when I found the fairy census, I of course was enamored. And then I thought about this dream and I emailed Simon. I was like, I have an experience, but as a dream, does it count? And of course, he's like, if it's an experience to you, then it counts. So I sent it, and I've always been such a heavy dreamer, and dreams are so important to me and so interesting to me. I've never been able to lucid dream, but I have very vivid dreams,
Mm.
and I often remember my dreams. Most often remember them, and there's some dreams that are just they're clearly just you working out stresses and anxieties and are very kind of surface level in a way. And then there are some dreams that I have where it has this totally different feeling where you feel like you're immersed in another world. And it's almost, I always have very, very detailed dreams, but there are some that I almost take on this like cinematic quality. Just like the world feels so big and like there's something else going on. And sometimes I won't even be myself in the dream in those instances. But anyway, I used to um I used to ask for help from the fairies. I used to say, I really need help making ends meet or something like this. Can I just get some help and I will do my part by picking up trash or I always take care of injured animals and things when I find them. And I do that, and then one day I thought I really want to see a fairy. I really want to dream about a fairy. And I've never been able to choose what I dream about. Try as I might, I've never been able to pick what I'm going to dream about. But I had this thought that I want to see a fairy in my dream. And so I went to sleep and I had a very vivid dream. And it was one of those deeper cinematic dreams. And I was walking through a very dark woodland path, garden path. And I don't know if I was shrunk down or if everything else was really big, but I came upon this. It was nighttime, and I came upon this big toadstool, a big Amanita muscaria toadstool, and it was much bigger than me. And there was a fairy sitting on it, squatting on it, and it was a female fairy, very coddingly kind of. I think she had butterfly wings and a purple flower dress, and she was twice the size of a human and looking down at me from her toadstool, not very friendly. She was like, "What are you doing here?" Kind of annoyed. I did not want to mess with her at all. So I kind of just kept my head down and looked at her at the corner of my eye and kept walking past. And then I entered another part of this. This seemed more like a garden. It was kind of open, and there was more of a silvery kind of moonlight. And there was another big mushroom, and there was another being sitting on it, but this one looked a lot different. It was also very, very large, maybe the size of a hippo or something. And do you know what a blobfish is?
No.
Okay. If you look it up, it's this very ugly fish.
Blobfish.
Yeah, a blobfish,
Yeah.
I think is what it's called.
Mhm.
They're very ugly. It's like two dark eyes and mouth, and they look like I mean, they're underwater, but they have this very slick skin. So the head reminded me of a blobfish, and it had this like pink, fat, shiny skin, and its body was like this big rolls kind of fat creature, and it had these little arms that were in front of its belly, and I think it had little feet maybe tucked under it, and it was sitting upright. And for some reason, I was not afraid of this one. This one it seemed to almost be smiling in this weird, not very expressive face, and its little black eyes were looking at me and twinkling, and it seemed very friendly. And I think it said, I don't remember hearing its voice, so I think maybe telepathically it said, if you need anything, just ask. And it was very friendly, very comforting. And then the dream ended, and I just switched into some completely other different dream. You know how that happens. And yeah, so I woke up and it felt very much like a real experience and are different than a normal dream. And it correlated with me doing a practice I was doing at that time with asking for help or assistance from fairies, which I will say I don't do anymore because I just feel like it's a little too open-ended. And it's never just an even exchange. So I just don't do that anymore.
So, I'm interested in hearing about that and what your experience has been.
Yeah, I just feel like even with magic, which magic is just exercising your will, right? And manifesting is what people will use the word now, but just using your will to make things come into existence. And so now I find that I can just do that myself. Just, you really focus on something and think about something and kind of think it into existence, and it'll happen. I still think with that, I just think that there's a balance that has to be upheld. I know a lot of heard some kind of more new age people will say the world has infinite abundance and you can just receive and receive and receive. And I just don't really know if that's true. One of my first entries into like magic and got me interested in it is kind of goofy. It's a movie called The Craft. Do you remember that movie from the
Yeah,
80s
yeah,
or the 90s maybe?
yeah,
Um, I think in that movie, maybe it's like a Wiccan thing too. They'll say like whatever you do comes back times three.
yeah.
And I don't really know if that's the rule, but I do think that you put something out, something there has to be a balance. So
Mm-hmm.
if you ask for something really, really good, I think you might have a little, hopefully just a little, some, hopefully like tiny misfortunes or something to kind of put it into balance.
Right. Is that
Yeah.
been your experience when you've asked for things? Have you received,
Yeah.
for example, of something you've received from that process? And
Yeah. So recently I moved. I really need to move. I had a really bad living situation before, just very poorly taken care of apartment. I really need to move. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just don't see how it can all come together. So I would just, before that kept me from moving. I was like, I don't know how it's going to come together financially, this, that. So now I didn't really have a choice. I was like, I need a new situation. And so this is what I want. This is what I need. I moved into one place first and I thought, oh, this is perfect. This is it. And then it became clear that this is not it. And
yeah.
so I kept thinking, and there was an apartment I would go see, and I was like, that's my apartment. Like, that's mine. It's just things like that. And
Mm,
so I got it. And it seemed like to all come together incredibly, just like getting the money I needed to and making it all happen. And then that same week or something, I'll get a flat tire on my car. You know, my car tire will
right.
blow. Things like that, which like I'm
That-
fine with that.
yeah.
Something little like that. Someone who's more some of my mom, she'll kind of focus on the negative and be like, oh, so it's one thing after the other. And it's like,
Mm,
I don't know. You kind of have to look at it through a lens. I'm like, I think that happened
yeah.
because I got a greater.
Mm, that's really fascinating, isn't it? And yeah, really interesting. And just coming back to your dream, what what happened after you had that dream? Was there anything in your life that changed? Or did anything happen?
I don't remember
Yeah.
anything overt. That was also a very, I mean, that was after 2020, but it was still within the first year or two of 2020. So it was just a weird time
Oh,
transition.
right.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, I think a lot of us had, I'm speaking for myself and other people I know, had really intense dreams at that time.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you are interacting with the fairies in
Yeah.
some way, and then you have this dream. What do you feel the message was from that dream? Do you think was there any message for you or
Well, he did say if you need anything, just ask.
yeah.
So maybe I can apply it more, maybe not on a grander sense of asking fairies, but I could also apply it just more
Mhm.
down to earth if I need something to ask people around me. Um, but yeah, it's nothing overt. It just the dream was so real. And I felt very struck by the fact that I had said, I want this to happen. I want this dream tonight. And I'd never been able to do that before. And I tried to do it again. And it kind of worked, like specifically with fairies, it kind of worked, but it wasn't on the same level of this dream where it was so detailed and so deep. And now I kind of treat fairy experiences where if it happens, it happens. But
Yeah.
I've
Mm.
kind of leaned back on my Irish ancestry, and I'm not gonna invite or mess with them.
Oh, that's interesting. You've got Irish ancestry. Where does that come
Hmm.
from,
My
Anastasia?
mom's side, yeah, her
Oh,
parents were Irish. So I didn't really get to know them though. Sadly, they passed away before
Oh,
I got
when did
old enough
they?
to talk to them.
Oh, that's interesting. When did they move to the States then? How far back?
I think it was their parents who moved here, and I'm sadly don't know the details like I
Mm.
should.
It'd be fascinating to look into that.
I
Yeah.
know I need to, and that's the only place
Yeah.
I've been overseas though is Ireland.
Ah, right. Whereabouts did you go?
I went to Dublin and Cork and Galway, and then I went to Northern Ireland to Belfast, where I got to meet
Mm.
a friend of mine.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, that was great.
Did you go to any like special places associated with fairies while you were there? Or
Oh, you did go to a fairy ring,
oh, did you?
a fairy fort. Sorry. Yes, we did. Yeah,
Wow. Was that
yeah.
recently? Was that before your dream or after
No,
your
it was
dream?
2010 or so, 2011 maybe. It was a
Okay.
while ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that connection there, that ancestral connection.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the
I'm
fascinating,
so
the other,
fascinated by the Irish and their well, everything about them, but really their folklore and fairy faith.
yes. Ah, that is interesting. Um, and the other thing is that you were very small in the dream and the fairy was really big.
Yeah.
So you were like a fairy to the fairy.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I was shrunk or they were really big. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Because the only thing really that I can pick out was the mushrooms and the fairies. Like I felt like I was in a dark outdoor space, but it was almost kind of featureless
Yeah.
otherwise.
Mm, gosh. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences.
Yeah. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, and coming on. It's been amazing. And where can people connect with your podcast?
Yeah, either on YouTube or any podcast platform. It's called Goblin Kwain, Kwain.
And I'll put the details in the info for this episode anyway. But
Awesome.
brilliant. Thanks ever so much, Anastasia. Thanks
Thank
for
you
your
so
time.
much.
Yeah. Yeah. And have a lovely evening.
You too. Talk
Uh,
soon.
yeah, talk soon. Okay, bye for now.
Bye.